So we already have our motion sensor set up on the Pi and wired. So here's our motion sensor, and in the last video we got it all set up to the breadboard. And in the end of the last video we tested in Scratch to make sure that the motion sensor was working, and it was. So next step in our Santa detector project is we're going to create a new project in Scratch, and we'll name it, let's see, click in here, let's name it Santa Catching Santa. Okay. So we're going to need to grab an event. So we'll start our program when the flag is clicked. And then the first thing we want is to create some costumes for Santa. So I'm going to start by creating just a blank white background. So this costume I'm going to name White. Okay, and then we're going to need to upload a costume, and I already found a clip art of Santa from online, and I brought that into my pictures folder in the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to select that JPEG that I saved and import that into Scratch. And as you can see right now, it's gigantic. So I'm going to hit this little icon down here to shrink it down so it's a little smaller. And I'm going to name that costume Santa. Okay, so when the flag is clicked, let's go to Looks, and we're going to switch the costume to start with the white, just a blank white background. Okay, and then we're going to need a control loop with an if-else. Okay, we're going to need in our Raspberry Pi blocks, okay, we're going to first tell the computer to set the GPIO pin, which we use GPIO 4, and we're going to have that input read as low, so it's not detecting any motion at the start when we click the button. Okay, then we're going to tell it that if the GPIO pin 4 is high, okay, that means that it's detected motion and sent a signal back to the Pi saying that, that it's a high level now. So when that happens, then we're going to go back to our Looks, and we're going to switch the costume to Santa. So it starts as white, then when motion is detected, it's going to switch to the Santa image, and let's have it play a sound when that occurs. Okay, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to have it meow like a cat, so let's click up here in the Sounds tab, and we'll come down and search to, oh, I guess you can't see that down there. So I came down here to choose a sound, and I'm going to use the search now to choose one of the sounds. Let's go to Effects and pick one of these. Let's see, what would be a good one? Oh, let's do Ricochet. Okay, so we're going to click on Ricochet for our sound, and go back to the code, and now under my start sound I can switch that to ricochet. Okay, now I only want that to happen for 1 second, otherwise ricochet in a loop sounds like gunfire. So I'm going to go to my control and grab a timer, and we're going to delay that and make it sleep for 1 second. Okay, then I'm going to go back to the looks, and I'm going to change after 1 second. I'm going to change my Santa size to increase to 20. And then I'm going to repeat that algorithm again. So I'm going to start my ricochet sound, then wait for 1 second. And then I think the second time I'm going to change the size even more. So I think I'll change it to 20. Or I was 20, so I think I'll change it to maybe 30 this time. Okay, then I'm going to start my sound. Where did my sound go? There it is. Start sound. And wait 1 more second. Okay, and then I think that last sound, I'm going to have it do a big change in size by 50. Okay, so I think actually I'm going to move that, see, start sound, change size. Yeah, no, that's probably good. We'll see what happens. Okay, now in my else, what happens if it's not set to high is I'm going to, that means no motion is detected. So I'm going to go back to my looks, and I'm going to switch my costume back to the blank white screen. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in a loop. So we're going to grab a forever loop. Let's actually, we'll separate this out and then pop the forever loop in there, and then we can put this sequence inside of our forever loop. Okay, now the last thing we want to check in our algorithm before we test this, we've got Santa, play sound, gets big, gets big. Okay, now we need to set our size back to normal. So we'll go back to looks, and then we're going to come back here to set size back to 100%. Okay, now we're ready to test it. We'll hit the green go button, and then Xander, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, put your hand down.
Do
Okay,
I?
put your hand back up. Put your hand down. There you go. Put your hand down. Okay, put your hand back up. Put your hand down. There you go. It works.
Yay!